Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, November the 19th, 2024 Planning Commission work session. Ms. Russell, would you like to get us started?
Good afternoon, everyone. We have 7 agenda items that we would like to preview with you before our official public hearing this afternoon. And I'd like to start with stating that at our last meeting, we committed to use any time left over from the work session to do training charrettes with the commission on topics of interest. Because of the loaded agenda, we will not begin that activity this month. And right now, it looks like January only has 2 agenda items, and so we will start in January with our Ches Bay Preservation District presentation. We want to extend our appreciation for the service of Ms. Sherry Thaxton as a member of the Portsmouth Planning Commission for 8 years. Her term ends at the end of next month.
Wow.
And because we don't have a December Planning Commission meeting scheduled, we are extending our appreciation to her for her years of service today. And so if we could just offer a round of applause.
Appreciate it.
Okay, and so we're going to start with zoning application 2403. It's an application by AQ Contracting to rezone .07 acres located at 3719 Dartmouth Street. And Ms. Patrice Branch will complete the staff presentation.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners. My name is Patrice Branch. I'm a planner with the City of Portsmouth. The application before you today is a request for a rezoning of the parcel located at 3719 Dartmouth Street from general mixed use to urban residential. The subject property is located in the West Haven neighborhood and covers approximately 0.07 acres. The site is currently vacant. The surrounding area features a mix of residential, commercial, and public institutional uses. To the north is a religious institution, and to the south is a commercial office facility, both zoned general mixed use. The lot immediately adjacent to the subject property on the west contains a single-family dwelling, which is a legal, non-conforming use in the general mixed-use zoning district. To the east, the property abuts commercial and office uses, including an office facility under the same ownership as the subject property. Both properties are zoned general mixed use. Single-family dwellings are prohibited in the general mixed-use zoning district. Therefore, the applicant is proposing to rezone the property to urban residential to allow for such use. The applicant is proposing to build a single-family dwelling on a 30-foot by 108-foot, 3,251 square feet non-conforming lot. Note, there are differences in the submitted plans. The site plan shown here is for a 2-story, 16-foot wide dwelling, while the building plan shown here is for a 3-story, 15-foot wide dwelling. Both options will measure approximately 41 feet in depth and creating a footprint of around 615 to 656 square feet. The conceptual site plan and building plans includes a 5-foot covered front porch, an 8-foot back deck, and an 18 by 18 concrete driveway. Each plan will meet the minimum setback requirements for the UR zoning district without requiring an additional variance or exceptions due to the nonconformity of the lot. Staff recommends denial of the applicant's request. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates 3719 Dartmouth Street for mixed-use corridor uses. While the rezoning will allow for the development of a single-family dwelling on a vacant non-conforming lot, it does not align with the goals of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan. In particular, the proposed residential rezoning will result in the creation of an isolated zoning district that is not compatible with the surrounding residential areas zoned urban residential. Additionally, the subject property lacks a sufficient buffer between the residential and adjacent commercial uses, which could potentially impact the neighborhood cohesion. As a result, planning staff finds that it would be more preferable to consolidate the non-conforming parcel with the adjacent parcel to allow for more suitable transitional uses or for future redevelopment. No voluntary proffered conditions were submitted as part of the rezoning request, so should the proposed rezoning be approved, substantial compliance with the submitted conceptual site plan and/or building plans would not be required. To this date, the Planning Department has received public comments from the neighboring civic leagues. These comments were distributed to you all at the beginning of the work session. This concludes my presentation, and I will now stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Branch. Commissioners, are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Melvin?
Good afternoon. In terms of when we say adjacent parcels, are we referencing the east side in section 3715 that should be combined with? Okay. And has the applicant been notified that?
So that's the parcel that's under the same ownership.
Oh, under the same ownership. Okay, thank you. And were we able to respond back to the West Haven Civic League?
So I received it this morning.
Okay. That's it. Thank you. And then, if this application is denied, what are our plans for this land here?
I mean, there's a variety of options. It could be consolidated with the adjacent parcel. It just really depends on what the developer or the owner is looking to do with the property.
Okay,
Okay,
so loud.
thank you. Commissioners, any additional questions? No? Thank you very much, Ms. Branch. Ms. Russell?
So our next application is rezoning application 2404. Excuse me, it's an application by Satisfied Home Builders LLC to rezone approximately 70 acres at 1001 Elm Avenue. Ms. Valerie Malzell will make the staff presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
My name is Valerie Malzahn. I'm a senior planner for the city of Portsmouth. The next application before you today is Z2404. It is an application to rezone the parcel at 1001 Elm Avenue from light industrial to downtown general urban. The property at 1001 Elm Avenue is approximately 0.78 acres in size and is currently vacant. The property is zoned light industrial or IL. The surrounding area consists largely of residential and public institutional uses, zoned downtown urban residential or D1T3, and multifamily urban residential or URM. A religious institution zoned URM adjoins the subject property to the south. The City of Portsmouth Neighborhood Facility and Recreation Center, zoned D1T3, and vacant property zoned IL are located to the west. Single-family and multifamily residences zoned D1T3 and URM are located to the north and east of the subject property. The density of the surrounding multifamily residences ranges from 10 to 16 dwelling units per acre. The property's current zoning designation as light industrial precludes the property from being utilized for any residential uses. The applicant is requesting a rezoning of the property to downtown general urban, or D1T4, to support the development of a 30-unit multifamily dwelling. The proposed 4-story multifamily dwelling will include 4 studio apartments, 21 bedroom apartments, 6 2-bedroom apartments, and a community room. The proposed development fronts on South Street and will be accessed from Elm Avenue and Chisholm Circle. A parking area that accommodates 45 off-street vehicle parking spaces is located to the rear and underneath a portion of the proposed structure. Planning staff is recommending denial of the applicant's request. The future land use map of the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for mixed residential uses. While a development of a multifamily dwelling may be appropriate at this location, the proposed rezoning to downtown general urban, D1T4, is not compatible with the surrounding area due to the higher maximum density permitted in the zoning subdistrict. No voluntary proffered conditions were submitted as part of this rezoning request, so should the proposed rezoning be approved, substantial compliance with the submitted conceptual site plans that were shown would not be required. The conceptual site plans depict a multifamily dwelling with a density of 38 dwelling units per acre. However, multifamily dwellings with a maximum of 55 dwelling units per acre are permitted by right in the D1T4 zoning district. Planning staff find that a rezoning of the property to URM or T3 would permit the development of a multifamily dwelling with an approved use permit and is more appropriate at this location. The applicant presented the development project to the Westbury Civic League in October 2024, and they informed the city that the development was well received. To date, the planning department has not received any public comments regarding this application, and I will stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Malzone. Commissioners, are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Commissioner Jiggets?
Your voice sort of trailed off at the end. What were you saying about the Westbury Civic League's opinion?
Yeah, so the applicant presented it to the Westbury Civic League, this proposal, and they informed planning that it was well received by everybody at the
It was
meeting.
well received?
Yes.
Okay. And as I'm, looking at the layout, and I'm pretty sure that there is a railroad track over there.
It's might be on this side.
So when you come down south, going towards Elm Avenue,
I don't have it that far out.
yeah, you don't
But
have
yes.
it. I mean,
Nearby.
There's a rail. I mean, it's not actively used, but I know it's been there for years. And as you show the church, which is First Baptist Elm Avenue, the church, that is not part of the acreage, correct?
Correct, that's on its own parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And why is the planning commission denying the application?
Well, the planning department is
the planning
recommending
department, I'm
denial. So its proposed density is significantly higher than the surrounding area. So there were no voluntary proffers submitted with the rezoning. So we have, well, not we, but city council has no way then of putting any conditions on this approval. Because it's not like a use permit. So even though they submitted these plans,
Right.
there is no condition saying that they have to build these plans. So the planning department evaluated this from just the rezoning to D1, T4, which would allow a much denser development than what's shown here to be permitted by right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with this section of Portsmouth, and anyway, I'll save my questions for the meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jiggets. Any additional questions? Commissioner Melvin?
So what you're saying is that because there can't be any conditions placed on, they can actually build up to 55 if they wanted to.
Yeah, so not 55 units, 55 dwelling units per acre, which would be, I have it somewhere. 43 total dwelling units on the property.
And that would be too high of a density for this.
Not in conformity with what is in the area. A density, the other multifamily dwellings in the surrounding area shown here range from 10 to 16 dwelling units per acre, and this would be 55. And your railroad is shown on this one.
There it is.
I just yes.
Where is it? Okay, thank you.
I guess my last question is just wondering, what we have a unit shortage in Portsmouth? Yes or no?
I am not familiar
Yes.
with the answer.
I mean, the U.S. has a unit shortage.
I just want to know, like, how many units are we short in Portsmouth, and if this is going to help, members afford housing in this area and bring members to this area.
Yeah, so we were looking at the proposal of the land use at specifically this parcel, and we want to maintain conformity in the area with what's
Okay.
already there.
And just from I brought it up from a zoning point of view. I know we don't have control of the pricing of the housing, but in other cities, such as like in Montgomery County, Maryland, they have like an exclusionary zoning where they basically give incentives to developers to keep units at moderating price for a certain amount of years. And I didn't know if that was something that Portsmouth is interested in. And since the value of properties and rent have been going up over the past few years, is that something that we're looking at, or has it been mentioned at all? Are we opposed to it?
Ms. Russell, would you like to offer
Comments?
comments?
I'm happy to.
Hang on one second, Mr. Commissioner Melvin. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Melvin, so I heard your second question. Let me go back and answer your first question, or try to. Your question was, how many affordable housing units do we need in Portsmouth? And that, we don't measure that. But what
Okay.
we know is that our unmet need in Portsmouth is, it's not even affordable housing because our existing housing stock can provide that. It's housing to accommodate low-income households, which would traditionally be a multifamily unit that is leased and subsidized. And so that's the answer to your first question. That's not this proposed product.
Okay.
Okay, and then the second question, when you said exclusionary zoning,
Yep.
and I'm accustomed to a phrase that they call it a set aside. So as an incentive to increase density, in some communities, they have ordinances that will allow a developer more units per acre if they set aside some of those units as affordable housing. And so you might have a price point of, say, 300, 400,000 per unit, and perhaps 10 of those units are set aside and are offered at a significantly reduced rate. Our current ordinance does not have a provision for that. And our ordinance was recently updated. I believe it was like within the last 2 years, right? So I wasn't here for that. But I suspect that that was considered because it's not a new tool, right? And so the rationale behind not including a provision for density bonuses was likely purposeful.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yep. Just wanted to see if we were looking at something like that, because you always hear the news of cities doing something like that and having success. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Commissioner Melvin, do you have any
That's
more
all I have.
questions? Okay. Commissioners, any additional questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Malzone.
Actually, I'm sorry, just a procedural question. When dealing with a situation like that, where the proposal has no proffers, would it be on us just to reject it, or would the applicant have the ability to pull it for it to be tabled and then reapply with proffers?
Well, what we could do, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is we can defer it so that it can be modified, if you will, or resubmitted.
Has that conversation come up with the applicant? Has the applicant had any reaction to the feedback that you all have given us about it, about the density levels, and the fact that the proposal's a little open right now as far as restrictions that it allows?
They haven't said anything against submitting proffers, but they also hasn't submitted anything, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Malzone. Ms. Russell? She's got the next one, too.
No, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Do you mind if I stay here?
No, not at all.
All right, thank you. The next two applications, rezoning application 2406 as well as use permit 2413, represent a proposed rezoning action for a 1.3 acre parcel and a companion use permit application for the property at 3711 Victory Boulevard. And this request would permit an outdoor advertising sign on the property. Staff's practice is to send to applicants on a specific agenda the complete staff report and evaluation after we send it out to the Planning Commission. And so you all received your packages, your packages were sent on or about November 8th. That was a Friday. And so on Monday, we sent the staff reports to applicants. The applicant, upon receipt of the staff evaluation, wanted more time to discuss the application with staff as well as the planning commissioners because the recommendation to not support the request was not anticipated by them. And therefore, they have asked for deferral to your January 7th meeting. I have asked that the applicant plan on attending the public hearing portion of the Planning Commission meeting, in part because the decision to defer is up to the commission, and which is a common practice if you have members of the public who show up for the public hearing portion of the meeting. We'd ask that the commission consider letting them speak regarding their position on the cases.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Okay.
Commissioners, any questions? No? Okay. Ms. Russell, I guess the next one.
The next application is use permit 2411 and request 2404 for the property at 3114 Tyree Creek Road.
Hello again. The next application before you is UP 2411, which is a request for a use permit to operate an outdoor kennel at 3114 Tire Neck Road. The subject property is approximately 0.8 acres in size and is zoned General Mixed Use, or GMU. The parcel is partially located within the AE flood zone and the 100-foot resource protection area buffer of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Area. The property contains an approximately 6,000 square foot commercial building that was previously vacant, but it's now being utilized by the applicant as an indoor kennel and animal grooming use. The surrounding area consists largely of commercial and residential uses. Commercial uses zoned general mixed use are located to the north and south of the subject property. Commercial uses that adjoin the subject property include a personal services business and a medical office. Single-family and multifamily residences zoned multifamily urban residential, or URM, are located to the east of the subject property across Tire Neck Road. Stearns Creek, a tributary of the western branch of the Elizabeth River, is located to the west of the property. Single-family residences within the city of Chesapeake are located further west across from the creek. The applicant is requesting to operate an outdoor kennel facility to support Port Rover's dog boarding and grooming services. The proposed use will consist of 3,800 square feet of kennel space within the existing building and a 2,400 square foot outdoor dog run. The outdoor dog run will be completely enclosed with opaque fencing and surfaced with artificial turf and gravel. The applicant is concurrently requesting a Chesapeake Bay exception as the proposed dog run encroaches into the 100-foot resource protection area. Outdoor kennel operations will take place between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. and consist of small group activities limited to a maximum of 8 dogs per session. 15 existing parking spaces are located around the existing building and will provide the 5 off-street vehicle parking spaces required to operate the proposed use. As part of this use permit request, the applicant is requesting that City Council waive the use-specific standard requiring outdoor animal runs to be located at least 50 feet from any lot line. The applicant is proposing to construct the dog run less than 10 feet from the lot line it shares with the neighboring parcel. Staff is recommending approval of the applicant's request with the recommended conditions. The future land use map of the Buildwell Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for commercial uses. The proposed use is consistent with the recommendations of the comprehensive plan and is appropriate at the proposed location. The surrounding area is largely commercial, and the proposed use utilized a vacant structure and will create additional local jobs. Staff is recommending that should the use-specific standard requiring the dog run to be located at least 50 feet from any property line be waived, that a condition is in place allowing only 10 feet to maintain at least 10 feet between the proposed dog run and all property lines. To date, 3 public comments have been received in opposition of this application. 2 were provided to you in print prior to the meeting, and 1 was included as part of the agenda packet. That concludes my presentation. I will now stand by for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Malzahn. Commissioners, are there any questions? No?
Well, so I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Jean?
Yes. So going from 50 feet to 10 feet seems like a bit of a stretch. What was the rationale on the plan?
So the rationale for the 10 feet was that's the building setback that's already in place in the general mixed use. It was difficult to determine so it's on an engineered image that's to scale, so it looked like perhaps they were asking for less than 10. I couldn't define it, so I wanted to make sure that they were holding, they weren't able to build it right up to the property line, that we were keeping some distance.
My other question is, I noticed the comments we received were not necessarily from the neighboring businesses, but from, I believe like one was a client of neighboring businesses. Did we got no feedback from the businesses themselves?
So we received one, the one that was included with the packet is the property owner for 3108 Tire Neck. One of the public comments was from a person who rents a space and owns a business in 3108 Tire Neck. And the last one was a patron of, I don't know if that was that business, but a business. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just, so where does the RPA, the 100-foot end? Oh, we're good. I jumped.
You're good.
Jumped ahead.
I knew I had
I'm
it.
sorry. Okay, are there any other questions, commissioners? No? All right, Ms. Malzahn.
I should have done them
Now.
back to back, but the next application before you today is Chesapeake Bay Exception CBE 2404. It's a request for a Chesapeake Bay exception to place the dog run from the tandem use permit application within the 100-foot resource protection area buffer at 3114 Tire Neck Road. Resource protection areas are comprised of tidal wetlands and shores, non-tidal wetlands connected and contiguous to water bodies with perennial flow, and the landward 100-foot buffer. Development of an accessory structure, such as a dog run, is not a permitted and exempt or an allowable land use within the 100-foot RPA buffer specified in Section 9.1-10C of the Portsmouth City Code. A Chesapeake Bay exception may be applied for to authorize an exception from the requirements of this section for approval by Planning Commission. The approval of a Chesapeake Bay exception request must be based upon the making of certain findings. The first being that the request is the minimum necessary to afford relief. This can apply to, but is not limited to, the size, type, or placement of a proposed structure. The remaining standards include ensuring that the exception request is not based upon conditions that are self-created or imposed. Granting the exception does not confer upon the applicant any special privileges that are denied to other property owners in the RPA. Ensuring the request is in harmony with the purpose and intent of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Area Ordinance, and that reasonable and appropriate conditions are imposed to prevent the exception request from causing a degradation of water quality. The property at 3114 Tire Neck is about 8.8 acres in size, and approximately 50% of the property is located within the RPA. The RPA extends into the property from Stearns Creek, a tributary of the western branch of the Elizabeth River. The property contains a 6,000 square foot building that was constructed in 1973 prior to the adoption of the CBPA, or Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act, on October 1st, 1989, and therefore was built before the designation of resource protection areas. A small portion of the existing structure, a portion of the asphalt parking lot, and a small gravel area are located within the 100-foot RPA buffer. The undeveloped portion of the RPA buffer consists mostly of grass lawn with a narrow wood line and tidal marsh. The proposed dog run will be constructed to the rear of the existing building and will measure 70 feet in width and 30 to 50 feet in depth, which is a total of 2,400 square feet in size. The dog run will consist of approximately 500 square feet of gravel and 1,900 square feet of artificial turf, completely enclosed with opaque fencing. The proposed development will result in 2,100 square feet of land disturbance within the 50-foot landward buffer of the RPA, and no trees or shrubs are proposed to be removed. The applicant is proposing to mitigate the 2,100 square feet of land disturbance within the RPA by establishing 6 planting units. The quantity and species selection of these plants meet the recommendation of the Riparian Buffers Modification and Mitigation Guidance Manual for buffer restoration. Staff is recommending the denial of the applicant's request. The exception request does not meet all of the review standards required for approval of a Chesapeake Bay exception, as the request is not the minimum necessary to afford relief. Planning staff finds that an alternative location for the proposed dog run exists at the south side of the existing structure. The alternative location would provide sufficient space for a dog run while minimizing land disturbance within the RPA to the greatest extent possible. The alternative location would result in the loss of off-street vehicle parking spaces, but would not affect the operations compliance with the minimum parking standards required by the zoning ordinance. Should Planning Commission approve the applicant's request, staff has proposed several conditions to ensure that the development meets the remaining review standards to minimize impacts to water quality. To date, the Planning Department has received 2 public comments in opposition of this application. They are the same comments. 2 of them also address the Chesapeake Bay exception concerns that were heard for the use permit. So I will now stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Malzone. Commissioners, Commissioner G?
So the recommendation would, in my opinion, amplify the concerns of the individuals from the first, being the noise would be now closer.
It would be in the sense, but where it is, it's only a little bit closer than it would have been, and we made that recommendation before. But I would believe the Planning Department still stand by that, because I think if there are concerns about noise, and I don't know that 10 feet is going to make that big of a difference, and there were concerns within those public comments about the degradation of water quality and the pollution from the use. So I think from that standpoint, perhaps those people might want to also see it moved. I can't speak for them, but they did specifically call that out in their comments. Yeah.
So, and this is the concept from the applicant. This isn't
Yes.
from the, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Commissioners, any additional questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Malzone. Mr. Russell?
All right, our last application is a use permit application for a property located at 4054 Victory Boulevard for self-storage development. And Mr. Bill Lampier will make this presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bill Lampier,
afternoon.
Principal Planner with the Planning Department. Next application before you today is a request for a use permit to operate a self-service storage facility at 4054 Victory Boulevard. Subject property is approximately 6.3 acres in size and is zoned General Mixed Use, or GMU. The site is mostly vacant and has relatively level grades with clear and wooded areas. Elmhurst Lane, a private street serving the Victory Crossing Shopping Center, runs along the southern edge of the site. Access to the property is available from an unnamed access road connecting Elmhurst Lane. Several constraints limit development on the property. These include certain use restrictions outlined in the amended and restated operation and easement agreement by and between the Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority and Lowe's Home Centers Incorporated. Immediately adjacent to the site is Lowe's. This agreement is dated May 4th, 2001, as subsequently amended. Among many other uses, this agreement prohibits currently storage warehouses. The surrounding area is commercial with retail sales and service uses predominating. To the north are vehicle sales and repair businesses in the GMU zoning district. To the south is the Victory Crossing Shopping Center in the GMU zoning district. To the west are service uses and a restaurant zoned GMU, a city water tower in the light industrial zoning district. And to the east is the Lowe's Retail Sales and Garden Center located in the GMU district. The applicant proposes to operate a self-service storage facility at 4054 Victory Boulevard. An approved use permit is required for this use within this particular district. The proposed 3-story, climate-controlled self-storage facility will include 810 units to be used mainly for residential storage and as storage for business equipment and records. The self-service storage facility will not contain a residence. Secured loading areas are located on the west and south sides of the proposed building facade, leading to customer units via 2 elevators. 22 parking spaces will be provided immediately adjacent to the building. The office is proposed to operate from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. keypad access for the units will be available daily from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The proposed self-service storage facility will employ 2 people, 1 full-time and 1 part-time employee, with both employees working when the office is open. Staff is recommending approval of this request with the recommended conditions. The proposed use allows the site to be developed in an appropriate manner that we believe is consistent with surrounding land uses. Proposed use will provide a service to the public for which the applicant has determined there is a demand in a secure and convenient place near a heavily traveled corridor and surrounding residential neighborhoods. Staff has determined that the proposed use, with the recommended conditions, is consistent with the intentions of the city's long-range plans. To date, the Planning Department has not received any public comments regarding this application. This concludes my presentation, and I'll now stand by for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Landfair. Commissioners, are there any questions?
Can you repeat this?
Commissioner Curry?
Curry.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice today.
Good day, sir. How are you?
Good, thank
You said there are only going to be 2 opportunities for 2 employees there?
2 employees, correct. 1 full-time, 1 part-time working at any given time on the site. That's correct.
How many square feet?
How many square feet in the total building?
Yes.
I don't know. I'll have to defer to the applicant on that.
And repeat that one more time. Only 2.
2 employees.
Okay.
Correct. 1 full-time, 1
I was going to
part-time.
make sure I heard that correctly. You know, my ears, uno, dos. I just kind of want to hear. Okay. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Melvin?
Yes, just want to see what everyone else thinks, but just going off of that, this is a employment focus area zone, and like you said, only 2 employees. That's not really a employee focus. And then number 2 is that there are approximately 12 storage facilities in the city of Portsmouth, with 30 surrounded the city of Portsmouth by like 10 minutes. Also, in the past, you have heard some members of city council say how this doesn't bring a lot of tax revenue to the city. And even the economic development department has said that this will provide minimum employment opportunities and nominal economic growth. So I just wanted to hear you all's opinion on why should a storage facility be in a private real estate land like this. And then number 2 is that the PRHA hasn't responded about if they will allow this type of building. We only heard from Lowe's. And if you could, Mr. Landfair, can you explain what's in the that operating and easement agreement between PRHA and?
Yeah, essentially, it's an agreement that was worked out between PRHA and Lowe's going back to 2001. And it lays out those uses that, not respective of the zoning, are prohibited without the permission of those 2 parties. And there are many uses that are listed within that agreement, many uses, and they include the self-storage facility. So I have spoken with the director of PRHA, and they believe that if Lowe's is okay with this particular use, they will not stand in the way of amending the agreement to allow this use to proceed.
Okay.
Also, the applicant is prepared to address the issue of need, recognizing the numbers of self-storage facilities that we have within Portsmouth and the surrounding area. I think, among other things, they'll speak to the fact that this is a state-of-the-art facility. This is climate controlled. Most such facilities are not. As such, one could argue that this might even be a destination type use that might draw clients, customers to this immediate area, which could be of benefit to the surrounding commercial area, including the adjacent shopping center.
Okay.
And of course, there will be sales tax. We have no idea what that will amount to. Perhaps the applicant will be able to speak to what their projected sales will be. In terms of property tax revenue, based on the established city tax rates, we're estimating about $62,000 a year given what the applicant has suggested will be the improvement costs for the property.
Thank you. And does the applicant own this land currently, or?
I'll defer to them. I don't know if they're under contract to purchase the property or if they own it outright at this point.
Okay. Okay, because just want to know how long has this land been dormant?
Forever.
At least since 2001,
It's 2001?
probably longer than that. Now, there has been interest expressed over the years, particularly when the property was owned by PRHA. More recently, I think there was even interest in perhaps a multifamily project on this site, and I think even perhaps a hotel on this site. Nothing has come to fruition, in part because of the agreements that are in place with Lowe's.
Okay, so the PRHA in the past has tried to redevelop this land here,
Yes.
but either themselves or Lowe's has not improved of the selling.
And there may have been other reasons. There may have been economic reasons, other reasons why none of those developments proceeded. But the bottom line is this property has been vacant for a very long time.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Melvin. Any additional questions, Commissioner G?
Yeah, do we have a comparable sized storage unit? The one, for example, the extra space storage, which is also climate controlled, what, a mile and a half down the street? Is it similar in size?
I don't know.
Okay.
And the applicant may be able to speak to you.
Yeah.
That's a pretty size.
Commissioners, any additional questions? Commissioner Melvin, I had some thoughts. As far as it's my understanding that as far as traffic is concerned, and I utilize a self-storage unit, and there's one, there's not a lot of traffic. Once someone goes in to put their stuff in storage, I've noticed that there's not a lot of traffic that goes in and out of those parking lots, in my personal observance. I have a question along the lines with Commissioner G. Is the storage unit going to be taller than Lowe's?
It's a three-story building, so it'll be probably comparable to Lowe's.
But you don't know
Slightly
for
taller.
certain.
I mean, Lowe's is essentially a one-story building.
I understand that. So I'm just curious what the difference is.
Back to the,
As far as the storage facilities are concerned, there's a self-storage, what is it, on Greenwood and Garwood, that's it, Garwood. That's a three-story climate-controlled unit. Similar, may not have all the bells and whistles that this one has, but it's very similar. Then you've got one catty-cornered to the water tower. Then if you go to the next intersection, onto the left on Portsmouth Boulevard, you have a storage facility. Then you've got another one, U-Haul, correct?
Yes.
Right there across from Rose's or adjacent.
Two on that same street.
Two on the same street. It's U-Haul and then storage.
There's one at the
something.
corner.
Yeah, storage.
Where like the Pepsi building used to be years ago, right behind
I
that.
think that people might be concerned that it's going to be like car washes. We're going to have storage facilities on every corner. And just because it hasn't been utilized, maybe that right use just hasn't come along yet. And with it being so close to the casino, in my humble opinion, I wonder if it's better to just, yes, Commissioner G.
So that actually compounds on the statement I had with us deferring or possibly deferring the Adams proposal. That was going to be some of my question about the future land use for this area. I mean, I personally do live off of Greenwood and Victory, so I do take it personal, as I should, as a representative for my neighbors. But what is the future desire for this area, for the city? Is it billboards? Is it self-storage? Or is it hotels? Now, that being said, we have not been successful in acquiring those businesses that come in there in the past. Are we in a better place now and / tomorrow to drive these businesses in? Because this is a lot of land, a lot of use. That being said, the rest of that shopping center is underutilized, though we are seeing progress over the last, 12 months? With, I believe, 2 new businesses coming in? Ross and Five Below.
Five Below.
So does this continue or does this hamper that momentum? That being said, a self-storage close to a Lowe's is a positive thing because it gives you a place as you're doing construction to store things and move things like that. But I just worry about the future. I know we have an innovation corridor where a lot of our city's focus is at. We kind of forgotten about some of the stuff around the casino. We'd love to see a hotel go up sometime soon as planned. But it expands beyond just that one parcel to that surrounding parcel, Victory Crossing being one of those. So do we have a standing plan, and are there any intentions to address that in the near future?
Thank you, Commissioner Jean. Mr. Lamfair.
Well, we do have an entertainment overlay district
Yeah.
for this area. And thanks to the casino, that's provided some impetus for moving forward with that. And there's been a fair amount of interest on the part of property owners, particularly along Victory Boulevard. To some extent, it's relying on market conditions, both with respect to Victory Boulevard and what we might see, and with respect to the shopping center and the immediate area. Now, the Economic Development Department weighed in with their recommendations in terms of what they think might be the higher, best uses for this site. And not surprising, it did not include a self-storage facility. They're suggesting more retail. Well, there's a lot of retail right now in that immediate area. Maybe it's different retail. More restaurants. They're thinking also hospitality, maybe a hotel, maybe 2 hotels. Again, in proximity to the casino. Maybe entertainment establishments, commercial recreational establishments might also be a good fit, again, given the overlay that we have in this immediate area. But we're also dependent on market conditions. And thus far, at least in terms of this particular site, it hasn't worked out yet in terms of interest.
Thank you.
Commissioner Melvin, so Commissioner Coleman, you said to go ahead and let you go first.
Just out of curiosity, do you know if on that agreement a hotel is excluded between Lowe's and PRHA?
I can verify for you. I don't know offhand.
We have it, right? It's in our packets, I think.
It is in your packet, but
Like page 28.
I can double check if you can't find it. Public hearing.
Commissioner Melvin.
Yes, just a suggestion. I just want to make sure that when this application goes up before City Council, that they have the whole picture. Is it possible for PRHA to present to City Council just about the history of this land here and their efforts over the years trying to redevelop this land, and before this application was put towards us, and then also, if denied, what the future plans are for this prime real estate. As we said before, the casino's right there, so I'm pretty sure that this is probably a big focus, but if not, why hasn't it been unsuccessful and whatnot? So just a suggestion for, I'm not sure if PRHA is here today, a representative is here today, but
I don't believe it.
yep, just to give the whole picture to them, because I think that history and then the efforts over the years and just showing just the city of Portsmouth period, what we've been doing for this land will be very helpful.
Right.
So just a suggestion.
We can certainly ask them. I don't think they would be averse to coming to council to speak to that.
Yep.
And Commissioner Coleman, getting back to your question about the agreement and whether it precludes hotels, the purpose of the agreement as it was originally established was to ensure, candidly, that there wouldn't be uses that would be in direct competition with the adjacent use, which is Lowe's. Okay. So even if a hotel use, a hospitality use is on that list currently, it's possible that they could negotiate with Lowe's and they would be amenable to allowing such a use.
Thank you.
So this agreement was put in place for Lowe's to come to this area. Is that why? Like Lowe's wouldn't build here unless that agreement was in place?
I don't know all the facts, but I think it was part of the reason why.
Okay. Yep, just want to understand how we got into this operating agreement with them and the battles over the years.
Well, and this is pretty typical for when you're bringing in a large business like Lowe's into an area, non-compete. And I mean, it's pretty, to your point, it's pretty exhaustive what's not permitted, inclusive of storage. But that's what we're here for, is in getting their permission and then moving on with it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions? No? Thank you, Mr. Landfair.
Thank you.
Ms. Russell?
Okay. Commissioners, we have one item left, and that is the public hearing items for the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on December 11th. I'm just going to quickly go through those with you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Trevon Boone, Zoning Administrator for the City of Portsmouth. Pursuant to Section 15.2-2310 of the Virginia Code, the Zoning Administrator is required to notify the local Planning Commission of applications received for special exceptions and variances. The Planning Commission may send a recommendation to the Board or appeal as a party at the hearing. 9 agenda items are scheduled for the public hearing before the Board of Zoning Appeals on December the 11th, 2024. Each application requests a special exception under the Portsmouth Zoning Ordinance, Section 40.2-535, subsection B, subsection 13, to reduce the minimum required interior side yard setbacks from 7 feet to 3 feet. These reductions aim to facilitate the construction of detached single-family dwellings on non-conforming lots approximately 25 feet in width and 100 feet in depth. The addresses of the properties under consideration are as follows: 1227 Highland Avenue in the Brighton section of the city. 1520 Highland Avenue, also in the Brighton section of the city. 2229 Elm Avenue in Prentice Park section of the city. 2519 Markham Street in Mount Hermon. 2206 Chestnut Street, Prentice Park. 1606 Summit Avenue in Brighton. 2516 Peach Street, also in Brighton. 1527 Highland Avenue, also located in the Brighton section, and 0 Wirt Avenue, also located in the Brighton section of the city. These are the agenda items that for consideration for our Board of Zoning Appeals for our December the 11th meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Boone.
Always.
We have no,
Okay.
there's no additional agenda items.
Commissioners, we do have new business today. During the public during the public meeting, we need to elect officers for 2025 for the chair as well as the vice chair. Mr. G, we kind of discussed it a little bit at our last meeting. Is there anyone that would like to make a nomination for chair 2025? I believe that's
I'll nominate
Commissioner.
Mr. Ocasio-G.
Okay,
I second.
okay.
I'm sorry, but I did not hear the comments. What was the nomination? I didn't hear you.
Oh, for Mr. G to be the chair.
Oh, okay. I just didn't hear it.
It's okay.
All right.
Okay. And then the next would be for vice chair. Ms. Coleman will also, this will be her last meeting. I think me and you've been here the same amount of time. So,
really? I just gonna leave it like that?
is there any discussion about vice chair for next year? You do have to make sure that you are in attendance.
Can I make a nomination there?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Curry.
Anyone else? Do any of the other commissioners have an interest? No?
I have interest.
Okay.
I have an interest too.
For vice chair?
Yes.
Commissioners, any discussion? Donna, I think you're the only one that hasn't spoken.
I don't have an interest.
A comment on one of the,
It's a lot of fun.
No, ma'am.
okay? Because you folks are going to be here next year. So we got Curry, Taylor, and Melvin. So we need one person.
You have to go to a vote.
Pardon?
You have to go to a vote.
Yes, okay. So then that's what we'll do, go to a vote. Commissioner Curry, those that are in favor for vice chair next year, raise your hand.
Might be mad for myself.
Yeah, I hope you do.
Commissioner Taylor, are you raising your hand?
Yeah.
Pardon?
I said yes. However it goes, I'm just happy to be.
We need a vote.
Right.
Three for Curry.
Okay, so we have 2 for Curry,
Three.
3. Okay,
I mean, 1, 2, 3, and then 3. Okay.
I was just making sure, Commissioner Jacobs, but thank
You
you.
said 2.
Okay, since we have 3, that's the consensus, I believe, so Mr. Curry for vice chair.
Wait, do you two not have a vote?
No.
Got 7 people, you can't have 3.
It's going out.
We're going out. Do we vote? Hand on a vote?
I think so. Attorney?
Yes, you can vote.
We can vote?
Yes.
Okay. Respectfully, Mr. Curry, I don't mind nominating you, but the attendance is really important for the Planning Commission. So that's, if I'm being brutally honest, that's my only concern. There's been a lot of missed meetings this year. Are you going to be able to adhere to the meetings?
3 with a sick grandmother. So there.
I understand, but that would be my personal concern. You do need to be here in case the chair is not able to be
Absolutely.
present. Okay. Well, then, I will vote for Commissioner Curry. John?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So then we have G, chairman, and Curry, vice chairman. Okay. The next item under new business will be the approval of the 2025 Planning Commission calendar. You have that in front of you. During the public hearing, we will need a motion and a second to approve the calendar. Any questions?
It's too late now.
I make a motion to approve 2025 meeting schedule for Planning Commission, City of Portsmouth.
Okay.
Slight unreadiness.
All right, we'll take care of that. And then, if there's no further discussion, pardon, one more item? Ms. Russell?
Thank you so much.
We're so eager to get going.
I do, but I know we have maybe 2 minutes. We want to also recognize and thank Ms. Coleman for your many years of service to the City of Portsmouth Planning Commission.
Thank you.
So we recognize Ms. Stackson at the beginning of the meeting. As we close, we'd just like to give both of them again a round of applause for 8 years of service.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we'll adjourn for 1:30. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to this very important meeting, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, in the City of Portsmouth City Council chambers. Secretary Landfair.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Commissioners, we will now have roll call. Please indicate your presence electronically. Seven members of the Planning Commission are present.
Thank you. Next one.
We have a motion, no, I'm sorry.
Commissioners, before you are the minutes of the October 1, 2024 public hearing. We do have one change or modification we need to correct, and this relates to the list of staff members present. It should reflect that staff members Landfair, King, and Branch were indeed present at the October 1st, 2024 public hearing. If there are no additional changes, Commissioners, we are in need of a motion and a second. To approve the minutes.
I move for approval of minutes with noted changes.
Thank you. Commissioner
Second.
Curry. Thank you. Secretary Landfair.
The minutes have been approved by a vote of 7-0.
I Did it pick mine up?
Did we didn't vote.
It didn't pick it up.
We didn't vote. He just made a
Pardon?
move.
I know, so I saying it didn't pick up when I pushed the button.
We didn't vote.
Now,
It's voting now.
Are we voting now?
yes.
Okay.
The minutes have been approved by a vote of 7-0. Announcements of future meetings and conferences. Our next scheduled work session is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 12:30 p.m. City Council Conference Room, followed by public hearing at 1:30 p.m. City Council Chamber. Items reviewed today will be presented to City Council for action at their January 14th, 2025 public hearings, or as otherwise noted.
In the mic.
Planning Commission rules limit a speaker up to 5 minutes to speak. We also ask that everyone please silence your cell phones at this time if you have not already done so. Thank you. Public hearing items. Case Z-24-03, West Haven. Application by AQ Contracting Incorporated to rezone a 0.07 acre parcel located at 3719 Dartmouth Street from general mixed use GMU to urban residential UR to permit a single-family residence. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for mixed use. The property is further identified as Tax Map 317, Parcel 18. Staff coordinator is Patrice Branch. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
I'm Claudia from AQ Contracting. I'm also a real estate broker in Virginia. Then one of the proposals that I was trying to do, since I'm a broker, I see a lot of lack of affordable homes in Hampton Roads. And people is willing to buy, and the houses has been no great condition because all the houses, the ones that they can do, and military people is hurting a lot because they cannot find good houses for the families, and the price ranges are going high. There is no land anywhere. It's difficult to find land in these days, and this is why I saw a really nice community that we can develop. We can put a small house. I was a developer with Sandler's and Resch. I did Third Bay Oaks Harbor, Bonnie Square. The last one that we did was Pecan Point from the Sandlers. But in reality, this is my project. I love to build things because I don't want to tell my background, but I think it's important. I'm a civil engineer from Colombia. I have a master in business, ODU. And one of the things that throw everything out of whack, I have an art degree in Colombia. Then when I take a project, it's not just a house. It's for family. Also, a house generates 15 jobs for for families, for the sheetrocks, for the painters. Then I remember one day I flipped a house and I didn't make the money that I was planning. I was kind of not that happy. And that was a winter time. I met my siding guy on 2 months later, and I told him that I was disappointed because I was almost breaking even. And he told me, said, Claudia, thanks to the house, I was able to feed my family for the month of November. Then after that, I don't see just the house, how much I'm making. I see everything that's affecting the surrounding families, the neighborhood, and I can show you different houses that I did already in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth. I buy houses and I buy land, and I try to do something beautiful because it's not just a house. I'm touching people's hearts in different things that I do besides. And people can have nice houses in affordable prices. This is why I'm really trying to get this project approved for a single family dwelling. I don't know if you have any questions. Sorry, I get excited about talking about different things. I get off the subject. I'm trying to explain why I want to do houses and something affordable.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I have a photo of the house that I did similar to the one that was applying, that is already in Portsmouth. We did it in Portsmouth. That way I can pass it around. And behind that, I did this development, Bay Oaks Harbor in Norfolk, was a waterfront community that I was the developer. I brought Steve Bishar and Quick.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions for the applicant? Commissioner Melvin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm just wondering, have you seen the email from the West Haven Civic League
Yes.
about the property?
Yes, and one of the things that they had was the lights and also the height. And one of the things I was thinking, this is a 25-foot property. I have to do 5 and 5, like 6 and 6. I was thinking after the approval, I was coming to get a little bit exception to be able to do 4 and 4 to get 4 more feet on that way I can maybe make it wider and shorter. But I was trying to do, this is my first step. The second, I was thinking to see, I can do to make a little bit, the lines to make it a little bit more. That way I can do it instead of, right now it's 25, will be like 14, will be like 16, and I can make it a little bit shorter and lower. I'm trying to keep the appeal of the neighborhood and everything. And I know they told about the lights. I can get I work with Brian Meekons. I'm also a Class A builder myself. Then I wear too many, I wear a lot of hats and I can. Yeah, but the most important thing is to be able to subdivide a lot, to be able to do for a housing, to be able, because I was thinking a mixed use, what they're going to do with that lot. There's nothing that we can do with a 25-foot lot, really, besides you making taxes on only I don't know how much is the tax of that, but it's not that much. But we put a really nice house. We are helping families, and also the city is getting more revenue. And we do according to the city. One of the things I was thinking, if you approve, you can even propose me, okay, Claudia, like in Norfolk, when you do with small lots, they say you can do that lot, but do this and this, like they did in Huntersville, something like that, because that will be the appeal of the neighborhood, but also will be consistent with the city's asking, because it's, in reality, besides being a vacant lot, it's nothing that more that you can do. If the lot is not rezoned, it's going to be not going to be the appeal for the community either.
What about the drainage plan?
No, I have, this is the thing now. I was planning to accommodate that in the other one because I have already my guys doing the side work and everything, but I didn't know. This is my first time here. Normally, it's my first time in Portsmouth presenting something, because normally in Virginia Beach, you have to go through lawyers. You know, I was doing Virginia Beach, I did development with Alan Rich and everything, and even they didn't let me talk. And it's difficult for me not to talk, trust me. and I'm so happy here because, okay, I can represent myself. I know, because being real estate broker give me a lot of hands of what people need. And really, it's still so difficult to tell people you cannot qualify, I cannot afford $300,000 or $275,000. They have to buy houses that are damaged and they have to fix it. Military families, they don't have the luxury to buy something to fix. Then for me, it's important to be able to produce houses really good, prices really good, or a square feet is not that expensive, and we do really good houses. As a flipper, I have a really good team as a flipper, but also I'm a builder, and I build with, we build new construction, and we did 2 houses in a year ago, 6206 Arthur Avenue and 6208 Arthur Avenue. We were able to combine that 2 lots divided, and we did the same. We were trying to acquire more property, but it's sometimes difficult to acquire property not only with the owners and everything. It's not that easy to get properties these days.
Thank you. All I recommend is that before going upon city council, just reach out to the civic lead here and address their concerns.
Okay.
So that they may or may not, approve of your application then.
Okay, yes, that's my plan
Thank you.
too. After this, I'm trying to figure out what, to go to the next step. I'm sorry, by the way, I received a scam. They were sending me an invoice of $17,000 to get the thing approved today. Then I don't know if you have a hacker in the system. Really, truly.
Okay.
My assistant is like, they say no, but for $17,000 they will approve it, and it's a hacker. We just check. Sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner G, did you have a question?
I did. First, mucho gusto, and thank you for all your kind words. I mean, everything you said is what really this is all about. Like providing home ownership for families, especially those who can't afford it in this economy, is amazing. Now, what I would suggest, you made some great points, especially about the difference in doing business here in Portsmouth versus other cities. I am inclined not to vote in favor today. However, I'm very much in favor of what you're looking for. My recommendation is work closely with our planning department.
Okay.
They are an amazing resource that not even just based on this property, but even other properties, they can make good recommendations on how it can better fit what is required from our not just from our rules, but also from the communities and what's available.
Okay.
I want to encourage you to stay active with development here in Portsmouth, because we are definitely open for business for those looking to provide for single-family homes.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Because I'm like,
And this is as a homeowner myself, as only one home of my life, and knowing what I went through and how hard it was for me at that time. But most importantly, I want to make sure you stay in touch with the members of the planning department regarding what is available and addressing some of these concerns. That being said, even if we say no today, the city council still has the rights to say yes. So this isn't the final step. This is just along the journey.
okay. And the good thing, you give me pointers. That way, when I come, I already have. Sorry.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any additional questions? Commissioner Jiggets?
Yes, I'm directing this question to our Director for Planning. What was your recommendation on this?
The recommendation, Commissioner Jiggets, is to deny the proposed rezoning application.
And what were the reasons again, please?
There's several reasons for the recommendation to deny. I'll start with, I need the map or the picture for the adjacent piece. We believe the highest and best use for the property is to combine it with the adjacent property, who is also the owner of both pieces, to make that lot larger and serve as parking or an accessory use to that. Then if we look at the character of development along Dartmouth, the proposed structure is inconsistent with respect to the height, size, mass, lot size for existing residential development in that area. And this would be an infill project, and so infill projects really need to emulate the character of existing development.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
that information, and I hope that will help the applicant also.
Yes. No, and the thing is that he buys commercial properties, and he is not interested to do more in that property. Then it's going to be a vacant lot. Then it's pretty much to do that or just to have vacant, and I don't think that will be a good fit for. That's one of the issues, because the market has been really difficult for him. He owns several IHOPs, and like Military Highway, rent alone is $27,000. He's only making 5% profit a month. And really, it has been tough for everybody, not just, then I don't know, it will be feasible for him to do more things.
Okay. Thank you so much. Commissioners, any additional questions? No. Secretary Lamfair?
We have no registered speakers. If there is anyone here who would like to speak and did not get an opportunity to register, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Madam Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Is there any more discussion? If not, we are in need of a motion and a second. Ma'am, you can have a seat.
Okay.
I recommend approval of Z TAC 24 TAC 03 West Haven with conditions provided by the planning staff if approved. I want to give the future generations a shot here at housing, and I think this is a great opportunity here. And for a developer such as our applicant coming here to the city of Portsmouth and wanted to build, if we turn away her now, and she may never come back and may look towards the other cities. So I recommend approval.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a second? Commissioners, is there anyone that would like to make a motion? Commissioner G?
I move for denial of Z 24-03.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Secretary Lamfair, we have a motion and a second.
Right. We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. Sorry.
It's okay. Oh.
So by a vote of 4-2 with 1 abstention, this item is denied. Our next item, Z-24-04, South Street and Elm Avenue. Application by Satisfied Home Builders, LLC, to rezone an approximately 0.78 acre parcel at 1001 Elm Avenue from light industrial to downtown general urban to develop to a 30-unit multifamily dwelling. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for mixed residential uses. The property is further identified as Tax Map 65, Parcel 3. Staff coordinator is Valerie Malzone. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Good afternoon. My name's Mark Parker. I'm with Satisfied Home Builders. I proposed this property based on trying to do things for the area. Our company has been here located in Portsmouth for over 13 years now. I actually grew up in this neighborhood right here on South Street in Ottawa as a young child. So I know all the ins and outs, and it's just it's overwhelming to be able to purchase something and bring something back to the city. My grandfather years ago had a filling station right across the street in front of this property. This is years ago when I was a kid. And so it brings a great desire to build this property as we grow in our company and things like that. And so we've come to do 30 units because we have the parking to do so. I know that the zoning doesn't require it, and that's why we're trying for a rezoning to go with the T4, which, you know, it's 30 units that we're applying for. So these units will be in the price range or an average of like 20% lower than the average costs right now, because we're trying to provide affordable housing and things like that. I don't know why I get nervous up here every time, but it's a really great building. I have wanted to do a enclosed building where it feels more safe, where you have to have access to enter the building, and I feel that will help with you know, people passing through or trying to hang out and things like that. And also just wanting to be a part of the revitalization of Portsmouth, which I do know that's something that's big that's going on with the city in the upcoming future. And it's a pleasure to actually be ahead of that right now and trying to do some development This is a great neighborhood. I have talked with the civic lead, and also I had a chance to meet the mayor there at the same time, the day of the civic lead meeting, and they was all excited about something being built or potentially being built on the property, as well as the mayor thought it was a great idea, and this is something more that the city needed. Like I say, we are 6 units more than what could be required, approved, based off the 24. So it's not as that it's doubling in size or capacity or anything like that. It's just 6 additional units. It will have an elevator, a community room, as well as some of the areas going to be covered. There were questions about some of it being on the flood area, but it was more on the rear end of the property. I think that would be considered the east end of the property, where there was a little bit of flooding, but with us doing a underneath parking, I think that keeps us out of the flood zone and things like that. One of the other things about the rezoning that I tried to focus on is that just 1 block over, we have Phoebus Square, which is in the same neighborhood, just 1 block over, as well as northeast of the property on another block, we have the Holly Point building. So I feel as if that we're in the zone area, just barely out of it. And I just got notification, or I just found out there's a 50-unit building being built, which is the Baines Point Apartments, which is 50 units, which is just 2 blocks on the corner of Elm and High Street. And so I feel like we're in the area, we're on the outskirts, but we're trying to accomplish the same things that's going on in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Okay.
Commissioners, are there any questions of the applicant? Commissioner Curry?
Good day, sir. So when you're saying this is going to be low-income housing, what do you mean by that?
Not necessarily low income, it's going to be workforce housing. And so we do have these priced now, because it's, I want to say it's 21 one bedroom, 1 bath, and then I think there's 6 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, and 4 studios. And so not necessarily low income, we was trying to target more of a workforce housing, as well as having a shipyard around and things like that.
So what are you looking for concerning is it going to be market rent?
Yes, market rent. A little low, but right now we have them priced at about 22% lower than the market.
Do you have the exact price of what you can charge per 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3?
We have a range.
Could you give it a range, please?
So the 2 bedrooms, 2 baths are looking at about $1,500 to $1,600 a month. And the 1 bedrooms were about $1,200 to I think $1,300 a month.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any additional questions? Commissioner Melvin?
Afternoon, Mr. Parker.
Hi, how you doing?
The planning staff recommended zoning for URM zoning or D1, T3 zoning. If push comes to shove, would you be willing to change your zoning from T4 to URM?
Yes, whatever if that's what, yes, I would have to go with that, if that's what they're approved for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner G?
Just a slight question. I mean, you brought up the point of the other complex being built around the corner. Does that drive any concerns with you on being able to fill your units or anything like that with that much competition coming at the same time?
No, I think it's something that's needed in the area, with us trying to revitalize the downtown district. The more housing, the more people we have to accommodate the businesses and things like that. I do know that I've been up here times before, because like I said, we've built over 200 homes in the city and did multifamily as well. But I do know there was a demographic study done years ago with the city, and a lot of the reason why the city wasn't growing is because of the housing that was available. I think over 50% of the housing in Portsmouth was already at the time at 45 years or older. So there was nothing new and innovative for, the new generation. And so it does hinder, bringing in new families and things into the community. And then the other thing that with me building in the area and just knowing the area, a lot of the homes now, or the old homes, are 1,000 square feet. So it doesn't accommodate the living of people now as far as closet space and kitchen space and so on. So I've been one that go and renovate homes and add square footage on and things like that. And so I'm one that's dedicated here to the city. I'm from the city. I love my city. And I want to continue to do more with the approval of being able to implement some of the ideas and things like that I have for the city.
One other small question, because you used the word innovative. What amenities are you adding as innovative, just to make it stand out from the other properties?
So there's a community room, for one, in which, like, I know the Holly Point has a community room, and they're able to offer specifically that use to have their meetings and things like that. And so the community room will be available for tenants and then, other resources for those particular reasons.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioners, any additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Okay. I have also other staff here that help with the project, engineers and the architect that designed the unit, and they can probably ask more questions and things like that if need be. But
Thank you very much, Mr. Parker. But Secretary Lamfair?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item Z-24-04. We have no registered speakers. If there is someone here who would like to speak and did not get an opportunity to register, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Rafael Winiarek. I'm also an employee of Satisfied Builders. I would like to take an opportunity to further
Sir,
also.
I apologize for interrupting you. Could you repeat your name, please?
Rafael Winiarek. R-A-F-A-L. Last name W-I-N-I-A-R-E-K.
Thank you, sir.
So Mark has done a great job outlining the project, describing the importance of him as he grew up in the neighborhood, as well as the economics of the area and such. I would like to further explore the reasons why we really wanted to drive the request for T4, because it's a very compelling story. You heard earlier about our units being 20% or so below competitor prices, meaning like A-grade like class projects. That's done only because we can deliver that promise through pricing, because we are asking for the 30 units. Should we go with zoning such as URM, the maximum density possible with the sustainable bonus is 23, 24 units. So we're not asking that much more. However, those 7 units, without even changing the building size, add 2 more units that we can make smaller by providing a utility of a unit, meaning a door or bedroom for somebody that wants something small, that is cost conscious, that potentially cannot qualify for assistance of any kind, but is a young professional or professional of any kind that wants to reside in Portsmouth and be an employee of Portsmouth and be a viable partner of the community. So that's one of the biggest reasons why the 30-unit count makes sense for the product. It gives us an economic advantage over competition to deliver somebody a very nice new accommodation that they can live in. Finally, I think what's also very important is that the density seems to be a very high a concern of the council and the planning staff. We have not initially proposed any proffers when we began this application. However, we would be more than interested to make sure that the commission, as well as the planning staff, has a peace of mind that this will not turn into a 43-unit development with a concrete structure, parking and such, which is economically really unfeasible in this location. So if we were to be amenable to offers, we would like to offer proffers. We would like to offer that as a mitigant to the concerns that were previously stated. That number to be determined at a later time or be suggested by the planning department. We certainly would like to see 30 units to make this project possible. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioners, any additional questions? Commissioner G?
I guess this is a procedural question for Director Russell. With a situation like this where the applicant is willing to offer proffers, what would be the procedural way for us to then accept that? Would it need to be deferred, go back to you all, and then come back to the commission, or is something that can be done ad hoc at this point?
Well, absolutely not ad hoc because they have to be in writing. So our recommendation would be to defer or to send it forward with a recommendation based on what you have in front of you today, and then the applicant could submit an executed proffer statement to be considered by the City Council.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any additional questions? Secretary Lampier.
Appearing to be no other speakers, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Commissioners, is there any more discussion? If not, we are in need of a motion and a second. Commissioner G.
I move for approval of Z2404 with executable proffers to be presented to the planning department. Does that sound right? No, didn't
The
sound right.
application.
I'm sorry.
I interrupted you. Go ahead and finish.
No, I'm just trying to see if I reiterated the director's feedback earlier. I was looking for the second recommendation you gave, where it would be executed or where it would be provided and then provided to the
Send it
city
forward.
council. Yeah.
Yes, and so that recommendation would be to deny the application as it is presented today without conditions, because that's what you have before you. We do not have an executed proffer statement. And then the applicant has advised that they are open to proffers related to the maximum number of units. I was discussing with Malzona, they offering to proffer these elevations as well. That would be important to us, and that those proposed revisions to the application be considered in the council deliberations. But today you don't, that's not what you have. So a recommendation to approve would be for the T4 zoning with no conditions, no elevations, no anything. And we are adamantly opposed to that.
Correct. So with that being said, I move for denial of Z2404.
Thank you, Commissioner G. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Curry? Secretary Lampier, we have a motion and a second.
And you will be voting electronically. By a vote of 5 to 2, this motion has been approved. The item is denied.
You ready? Okay. Commissioners, application Z-24-06 Victory Boulevard, UP-24-13. Staff received a request for a deferral until January 7th, 2025. So Commissioners, we are in need of a motion and a second.
And you will be voting electronically.
No, he's got to give a motion and a second first. That's okay.
To defer.
They submitted. Commissioner Curry, did you have a question?
No, I got clarity on that. Yes,
Just
ma'am.
for clarification, they submitted a request to defer it
To January.
to January 7th. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to defer Z 24-06 and UP 24-13 to the January 7th, 2025 Planning Commission.
Thank you. Secretary Lampier.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically.
I keep it wrong button.
Commissioner James. This item has been approved for deferral, 7-0. Our next item, UP-24-11, Tire Neck Road, application by M. Davis to request a use permit to operate an outdoor kennel at 3114 Tire Neck Road in the General Mixed Use GMU zoning district. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for commercial use. The property is further described as tax map 815, parcel 9.1. Staff coordinator is Valerie Malzone. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Good afternoon. My name's Mark Davis. I'm the owner of Port Rover. Can I bring my facilities manager up here with me?
Yes.
Is that okay? We're a pet care business, proudly serving Portsmouth and all of Hampton Roads for the past 5 years. We're requesting a permit for an outdoor fence that'll be installed behind our newly leased location at 3114 Tire Neck Road. This will allow our canine guests an opportunity to enjoy some fresh air and potty breaks in an outdoor setting. When a facility like ours applies for an outdoor fence, it's categorized as an outdoor kennel, and that term might invoke an image of large groups of dogs outside barking all day and night, but this isn't our intended use. The requested fence area will be utilized for supervised individual potty breaks and very small groups of 1 to 2 dogs at a time. We'll comply with all the requirements of the RPA by planting trees and shrubs where needed. The fence will be constructed using welded wire fence panels with no in-ground post, as into little ground disturbance as possible. All animal waste will be promptly removed and responsibly disposed of, and the area will be cleaned daily with an environmentally friendly solution that neutralizes odors and maintains the area with a pleasant smell. We're committed to being good neighbors and ensuring the outdoor area enhances our services without causing disruption to the community, as we have successfully done for the past 5 years at our Airline Boulevard location. We respectfully ask you to approve our permit to install a fence at our Tire Neck Road location, enabling us to provide the dogs in our care with a safe and enriching outdoor experience. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Commissioners, Commissioner G.
Welcome back. I think you came before us a few years back with your airline location. So
we did, yes.
And we appreciate you all continuing to do business here in Portsmouth. Big question I have, and especially looking at the feedback we've received from neighbors, what is your capacity? How many dogs are we talking would be in that outdoor area especially?
So, little feedback on that. When we originally submitted our application back in September, we had planned on getting rid of our airline location and moving everything over to this location. Since then, our business has grown even more. We found that there is a need for 2 locations. So we are keeping our airline location for our daycare and day school dogs, which is your large group play, your craziness, your training, all that stuff. This location is going to be primarily grooming and overnight boarding. so that we will not have those large group play out there. So with that said, our grooming takes, 6 to 8 dogs a day. They don't even go outside. They go out for like short little potty breaks, maybe, but they're only there for a couple hours. Our overnight boarders, we take, anywhere from 20, our average is 25 dogs a night, and that's year round. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, but it's 25 on average. So those, little potty yards are gonna be used basically for them to get out 4 or 5 times a day, do their business and go back inside. We do have indoor play yards as well that they will be utilizing like during snowstorms and all that stuff. So there are multiple play yards inside as well. And we do have our owner of the building is here if you need to have any questions from him. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also say that if we don't have a fence out there, we're going to be walking the dogs in that area anyways.
That's what we're doing currently.
So it's just a matter of do we put them out there on a leash or do we put them out there off leash? So.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
having a fence keeps it safer for the neighborhood. Dogs aren't getting loose off the leashes. There's no risk. It's safer for them, safer for the neighborhood.
Thank you. Ma'am, do you mind stating for the record your name, please?
Oh, my name's Sherry, Cheri. Last name is Capuano.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions of the applicant? Secretary, thank you very much. Secretary Lamfair.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item UP-24-11. We have no registered speakers. If there is someone here who would like to speak and did not get an opportunity to register, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak.
My name is Nicole Rodriguez. My business is located at 3108 Tire Neck Road. I'm the owner of Intuit Healing Arts, right next door to the Newport River location. I've been subleasing at this location for 2 years now and have successfully grown a thriving practice in that time. This coming January, I'm planning to take over the lease on the main building. We have 6 private rooms that we'll be renting to other massage therapists, physical therapists, estheticians, or chiropractors. We also have a large exercise space, and yoga is currently our most popular class. Currently, this is a quiet neighborhood, and there will be no way to dampen the pervasive sound of the barking dogs. This will absolutely kill the ambiance we have created in our studio. Barking dogs register between 90 and 120 decibels, and that noise can travel outdoors. There's no way to file a noise complaint during the day, so if this variance is approved, neighbors will have no way to hold the business accountable. My business is healing and relaxation, and these levels of noise pollution right next door would have a significant negative impact on my business. Finding another location at the rates I have currently would be impossible, as well as cause a major interruption in my business. I'm a single mother, and this is my sole source of income. Moving my business or risking losing my clientele would have a severe impact on my entire life. This would not just affect my own business, but that of the other tenants as well. On this block, we have multiple other massage therapists, chiropractor, and counseling. There are private homes as well as 40 condos across the street, not to mention the impact of the excrement will inevitably have on the protected wetlands. I urge the council to reject this proposal for the negative impact it will have on the neighborhood as well as the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez.
Members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant? If not, you do. Commissioner Coleman? For Mr. Davis?
Yes,
or-
Mr. Davis, can you
Mr.
come
yeah.
back up? Thank you. I just had a question. Are you, I know you're in the building now. Are you operating in the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long have you been there?
A month, maybe?
A
Yeah.
month? Okay. So, and you're doing now with the dogs what you would be doing if there was no fence approved?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you. Commissioners? Commissioner Curry?
That was one of my questions, because I wanted to know, is there any loud barking going on now for complaints of the neighbors if he's already in existence, in the building over a month?
Is this directed to Mr. Davis?
Has there been any complaints filed against you?
No, sir. And like I said earlier, there's only going to be 1 to 2 dogs outside at a time. They'll be strictly supervised. And as a matter of fact, one of our daily enrichment procedures is to try to keep dogs from barking. So the noise will be minimal, very, very minimal.
But you are currently walking the dogs to this day, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner G, you had the button.
I'm sorry, that was an error.
Commissioner Taylor, did you have a question?
One question. So where the fence is going to be located, the dogs won't go beyond that point?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Ms. Thaxton?
Yes.
With your permission, staff has a comment.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Malzone?
So the use permit request is for the outdoor kennel use. And currently, so it's not just for the fence, it's for allowing any operation of the kennel to be outdoors. And a fence is required as a use-specific standard of that use. So walking the dogs and letting them take bathroom breaks outside and play outside is part of the outdoor kennel use that's currently not permitted on the property as an indoor kennel.
Okay. So for clarification, in our package, staff for UP-24-11 recommended approval with conditions. However,
Yes.
you're saying,
Well, this is to clarify that the applicant made a statement that even if this fence doesn't get approved, they would be taking the dogs out anyway. That is not in compliance with the indoor kennel use. That is for the outdoor kennel use, which is what you're approving today.
okay. Commissioners, any questions? Okay. If there's no additional questions, we are in need of a motion and a second for UP-24-11 for the use permit. Commissioner G.
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to make a motion in positive today. So I move for approval of UP 24-11 with conditions.
Second.
Thank you. Secretary Lamfair, we have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically.
Press hold.
They all push.
Oh, geez, yeah.
She left.
By a vote of 6-0, this item has been approved. Our next item, CBE-24-04, Tire Neck Road, application by M. Davis to request a Chesapeake Bay exception to construct a dog run within the 100-foot Resource Protection Area, RPA buffer, at 3114 Tire Neck Road in the General Mixed Use GMU zoning district. The future land use map of the Build 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for commercial use. The property is further described as Tax Map 815, Parcel 9.1. Staff Coordinator is Valerie Malzone. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Mark Davis, owner of Port Rover. I think I covered everything in the last speech I give, but we are going to, what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to comply with all the RPA rules that Ms. Malzone has sent us to comply with. That's planting shrubbery and trying to do as little land disturbance as possible. And as I said, all animal waste will be promptly removed and clean, the area will be cleaned daily with an environmentally friendly solution.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? None? Thank you, Mr. Davis. Secretary Lanfair.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item CBE-24-04. We have no registered speakers. If there's someone here who would like to speak and did not get an opportunity to register, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Madam Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Commissioners, is there any more discussion? If not, we are in need of a motion and a second. For CBE-24-04. Commissioner Chair Curry?
Chair Carey.
I'm sorry.
I think I'm gonna change my name.
It's okay. You only have to endure me a little couple of hours.
We appreciate you.
No, I'm just kidding.
I make a move to approve CBE-24-04 with conditions.
Thank you.
Before we move on, it was recommended by the planning staff for denial, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pardon, Commissioner Curry? Commissioner Curry, did you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So did we have a first? No? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I recommend a denial for CBE 2404.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Secretary Lanfair, we have a first and a second.
And you will be voting electronically. By a vote of 5 to 1, this item has been denied.
I hit the wrong button. It's okay.
Our next item, UP-24-12 Victory Boulevard. OV Development LLC requests a use permit to develop a self-service storage facility on a 6.3-acre vacant parcel located at 4054 Victory Boulevard, as permitted by Section 40.2-216 of the Portsmouth Zoning Ordinance. The property is zoned General Mixed Use, GMU. The future land use map of the Build 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for commercial use. The property is identified as Tax Map 526, Parcel 1.1. Staff coordinator is Bill Lanfair. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Mr. Lanfair, does everybody have a copy of the presentation? Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Thaxton and Planning Commission members. My name is Della Colpine. I'm the Managing Director of OV Development. A little bit about who we are on page 2. OV Development is a subsidiary of Olympus Ventures based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are the home office, or the family office, of Mr. Richard Scholes, the founder of Best Buy. The office also houses the philanthropic arm, the Richard M. Scholes Family Foundation, which supports a lot of ongoing organizations throughout the United States on an annual basis. One of our goals is to provide funds for the philanthropic arm. So again, we're out there with development so that we can provide monies to the foundation. Currently, OV Development focuses on multifamily developments as well as self-storage properties across the United States. Page 3 just shows a few of the projects that we have going on, just so that you can see a little bit about kind of the types of self-storage developments that we do that have been completed or under construction at this point in time. Before we go on, I'm going to actually introduce Andrew Baranek. He's actually the lead for self-storage development for OV Development, and he'll kind of cover the next portion of the presentation.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So when we look at self-storage development projects kind of throughout the country, and part of what we do when we're looking at new markets to build in is kind of looking at what the existing supply is in the marketplace, and what kind of employment is available in that region. So what attracted us to Portsmouth was the significant military presence as well as the diverse employment base in the region. And then when we compare the supply of self-storage to the state of Virginia, the state of Virginia offers 8 square feet per person of storage. And if you compare that to the greater Hampton Roads region, the region provides 9.9 square foot per person. However, the city of Portsmouth currently provides about 7.6 square foot per person. Roughly 50% of that is climate-controlled self-storage, which is what we are proposing to build. And if you look at comparable cities with significant military presence, the demand is often higher in those regions, generally offering in the range of 11 square foot per person in those areas. And if we look at our site specifically, we look within a 3-mile trade area, which is generally where predominantly where most of the customers who are utilizing self-storage will come from. That region equates to roughly a 10-minute drive, and it offers currently 6.8 square foot per person, which is lower than the city of Portsmouth. If we include our project, that would increase the supply to about 7.6 square foot per person, bringing it closer in line to the state of Virginia and still well below the Hampton Roads region. Again, roughly 36% of the storage in that region is climate controlled, offering higher security, secured access, which is typically in a coastal region such as Portsmouth. Climate control self-storage would be in more demand than a typical market. And we conducted a pretty thorough market analysis among all of the self-storage facilities in the market. And what we identified through touring these facilities, meeting with the property managers, talking about the projects or the properties with the managers, was that these climate control facilities or units were in extremely high demand, in the range of 90 to 99% in most cases, with 96% occupied of climate control self-storage, which is significantly above where we would expect a market to be in kind of the high 80s to low 90s range.
We're on page 7 of the presentation, if you're on that page. Again, a lot of this was presented, I think, at the Planning Commission workshop, but again, the site is 4054 Victory Boulevard. We're actually what we're called a flag lot. The lot actually has, the frontage has to be on a public right-of-way, so Victory Boulevard is the frontage for us. We have to have 16 feet. I think the one challenge for this site is the buildable area that actually is allowed. And on the site plan, basically from the front of Lowe's across, that is really where the front of a project can be. It can't get anywhere closer to the access road that is actually owned by this property owner. When this site, again, I think it was discussed, has been vacant for about 20 plus years. I think it was originally a parking lot for the mall before the Victory Crossing Shopping Center was developed in 2000. And again, there's a couple other constraints on the site. There's a storm drainage that's to the east of the property, and then there's a gas on the other one. So basically where our building is kind of where you ultimately can build on this site because of the constraints that are around the site. As we look at the site plan on page 8, a lot of this was discussed. Again, it's a 3-story, 112,200 square feet facility with 810 units, plus or minus, but in that range. You're going to see 2 customer entries noted on the site plan. Also, we have the trash enclosure, and our main site entry is off Access Road. And then as you look at the exterior architecture that we have developed, again, it's a very modern look and feel. We looked at really what the context that's going around in the shopping center. It has a combination of a stone veneer at the base with different ephes above. And as you look at the main entry, those are metal panels, a couple different colors and ribbing of metal panels with the storefront. Again, on the lowest level will be the office entrance. Again, we tried to look at very, very contemporary look and feel on the site. And that ends our presentation, and we're here to answer any questions you may have for us.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Melvin?
Thank you for those comments. Just want to mention page 5 to the planning commissioners. As we see here, this is a 3-mile trade area. As I mentioned before in our work session, if you expand this radius to say 7 miles, you will have 30 plus more facilities in this area. And again, for the record, only 2 members at a time will be staffed. This is a employment-focused area. It's not what we need in this area. And then everyone always keeps mentioning that this area has been vacant for a very long time. Even if it has, so we still need to be strategic here as a city and figure out what we want at a prime location as this. We have to be very careful here. And this question for the applicant, does you all being a subsidiary of the founder of Best Buy influence Lowe's decision to approve you all building here?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question.
Yeah, you said you all were subsidiary for the founder of Best Buy.
Olympus Ventures is the family office of Mr. Richard Scholes, the founder of Best Buy, correct. We are a company that's a subsidiary of Olympus Ventures.
Do you all have a relation with Lowe's?
With Lowe's?
Correct.
We actually have been working with Lowe's and have received approval for our application. There's just a fee payment that has to be made yet, but otherwise the approval is completed. And I think within our application, we sent the preliminary approval.
And are you all currently the owners of this land?
We have the land under contract and working through the application.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner G?
Just a few questions. Under what brand would this storage facility operate?
So there's 3 different REITs that we would look to potentially be the third-party property management. There's CubeSmart, there's Extra Space, and there's Public Storage. Again, we haven't made that final decision at this point in time.
I just noticed that in the portfolio, it did carry the multiples. I know we have some of those in the similar proximity. You did mention the Richard M. Schultz Family Foundation. Have they done business in this area before with, be it reward and grants or any other on the OV side either? So either the foundation or the commercial side, has it?
I do not know that because I am not involved with a lot of their giving. I know that they give, 40, 50. There's been years of a lot more than that. So I could check that for you, but I don't know offhand.
Okay, I didn't see any as I did a quick survey, just wondered. I feel like I had another question, but I'm gonna go ahead and defer to my
That's okay.
counterparts.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Curry?
I think I have more of a statement that I was very concerned about, especially we needed more jobs in the area that I know we're down now as of October the 30th to 3.9% needed unemployment, which is the average of 6.27%. And I'm just concerned that building this amount of square footage and only being able to house one full-time employee and one part-time employee brings great concern, for which we need in our city more employment for our citizens.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any additional questions of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Secretary Lamfair.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item UP-24-12. We have no registered speakers. If there is someone here who would like to speak and did not get an opportunity to register, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Madam Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? If not, we are in need of a motion and a second for UP-24-12. Commissioner, I didn't see who clicked first.
I recommend denial of UP 2412.
Second.
Thank you. Secretary Lamfair, we have a first and a second.
We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. This item has been denied by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Secretary Lamfair. Commissioners, under new business, the first item that we have, as discussed in our work session, will be the nomination. We already had that. We need to elect the officers for the Planning Commission year 2025. We are in need of a motion and a second for Commissioner G to chair the 2025 Planning Commission. Can you push your button? Commissioner Curry.
Excuse me, I so move. I do better. I'm a pastor. I should know better than that, shouldn't I? I so move to make Commissioner G the chair of the commission for 2025 year.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Secretary Lamfair, we have a first and a second that Commissioner G will be the 2025 Planning Commission chair.
We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. By a vote of 6-0, this motion carries.
Thank you. Commissioners, the second item under the election of officers, we are in need of a motion and a second for Commissioner Curry as the vice chair for the Planning Commission year 2025. Commissioner Jean.
I move that Commissioner Curry be elected vice chair for year 2025.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Secretary Lamfair, we have a first and a second for Vice Chair Commissioner Curry, 2025.
We have a first and a second, and you will be voting electronically. By a vote of 6-0, the motion carries.
Thank you. Commissioners, you have a copy of the Planning Commission calendar that you had an opportunity to review in the work session. We do need a motion and a second to approve the calendar for the Planning Commission year 2025.
I have an unreadiness on the calendar question for the planning department. This year, we are not meeting in December, but I do see we have a December date listed for next year. Any just reasoning?
We had one agenda item, and it was for an honorary street name change that we moved to January, where we have now we'll have 3 items on that agenda. And that's the only reason why.
So we were originally planned for December, and then,
Yes.
thank you. With that being said, I move for adoption of the 2025 meeting schedule.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Secretary Lamfair, we have a motion and a second to approve the 2025 Planning Commission calendar.
We have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. The motion carries by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Secretary Lanfair, I do believe that that concludes our agenda for today.
That is correct, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Curry?
I would like to say publicly that it has been a great honor to work with you, Chair Lady, and Ms. Coleman. You guys have been a wonderful asset to this commission, and I want to say thank you for all that you have given this city for the last 8 years, and we honor and appreciate all that you continue to do for our great city. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Curry. I'm sure I speak for Ms. Coleman that we appreciate working with our fellow commissioners, past and present, and also the staff for making themselves available to us when we have questions. So thank you very much. Is there any further business, Mr. Lanfair?
No, there isn't, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Did someone push a button? Commissioner G?
My button pushed and my vice chair-elect had stole
heard
my
a little
thunder
bit of
too.
clicking.
And I just wanted to also say personally, thank you all for your service. Having served with you twice, and coming back and you were still here, it made my heart warm. And I think you have huge shoes to fill, and I'll do my best. And I just look forward to seeing you again in a few years.
Oh, I think you can fill them just fine. But thank you very much, Commissioner G. I appreciate it. I really do. Ms. Russell, is there any further business? No? I would like to take a minute, in case some of you were not aware, Ms. Jackson was not here today because she fell and ended up having to have surgery on her hand. And she was unable to operate the equipment for our meeting today. And on behalf of her, I'd like to say thank you for being patient with us as me and Mr. Lanfair tried to work together to keep this flowing smoothly today. And if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned.